This episode is a masterclass in professional longevity. We're talking to a veteran of 40 years about the secrets of building and sustaining a profitable commercial photography career.
Welcome to Commercial Photographer, your guide to marketing, creativity, and growth. This is a podcast that helps commercial, brand, and headshot photographers navigate the competitive world of commercial photography with actionable strategies to grow your business.
Well, hello, Sam. How are you?
Very good, Marcus. And how about you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, mate. Very well.
Excellent.
And very excited about today's guest because we've got a fellow photographer on.
Excellent.
I'm going to let him introduce himself, as we normally do in this program. So let's go over to Mark.
Hi, guys. Hi, nice to see you.
And you, welcome to the show.
My name's...
We have photographer Mark Kensett with us, sharing lessons learnt over 40 years from shooting sheet film to high-end digital, and you don't want to miss his advice for a long and successful commercial photography career. He'll share with us the single most exciting secret to the job, the creative principle that allows you to consistently produce work that is greater than the sum of its parts. He'll also reveal his strategy for brand photography marketing, explaining the specific type of non-client work that generates the best paying leads. And finally, you'll hear Mark's critical lessons from mentorship in photographers, which is essential for staying fresh and protecting your career for decades.
My name's Mark Kensett. I'm a commercial photographer of 40 years standing, man and boys.
Wow.
Started when I was 17 in the industry. So you can work out my age from that. So my history in a nutshell is I left school, started in a commercial studio when I was 17, worked there for 13 years, and then co-founded a studio with a partner for 12 years, and then sold my share of that to sort of be my own boss totally. And I've been doing that for the last 17 as a freelancer, I suppose is the best term. So that's my history in a nutshell.
Gosh, I think you've got a record as probably one of the most experienced photographers we'd have on the show. Isn't that right, Sam?
I'd have thought so.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You've seen a lot of changes in that time, I bet, Mark, haven't you? I mean, obviously too many to mention, but wow, what a career.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, film was the big thing. Digital was not really a thing back in, what was it, the early 80s. And a lot of my early work was all shot on sheet film, so 10 by 8,
Yes.
transparency, 5 by 4 transparency, and then 2¼ square Hasselblad. So I didn't really do much with 35mm cameras back in those days, but obviously now, I still use my large format camera, as you can probably see. But a lot of it's on mirrorless and DSLR nowadays as well.
Okay, excellent. And then, I mean, can you share maybe a few of the interesting people you've worked with or things you've shot over the years?
Well, I suppose, I mean, clients. So I come from a stable of experienced food photographers. So I guess I did a lot of food for the sort of big supermarkets and things like that back in the day. So, a lot of retail packaging and things like that. But I think one of my favorite jobs way back in the distance was we had a food service client who employed a lot of the sort of top chefs of the day. But we basically we had to shoot a day's shoot in a kitchen with a commercial chef.
Yeah.
And then present a slideshow at the end of the day. So of course it was all in film in those days. So we had to had to process the film in the afternoon and then present the slideshow in the evening. So that was quite stressful, but quite good on the it was good fun to do. So we got to we did one at Murrayfield, one at the Museum of Wales, and all over the country really. So that was good fun.
Amazing.
Okay, and then, so presumably that was your early practice, and that's why you were shooting on large format cameras, doing sheet film, etc. Detail was all important.
Yes, yeah, and it was interesting to make that transition from large format transparency to a high end digital as well. Because originally the first digital cameras we bought were only 6 megapixel,
Yeah.
But because they were what they call multi-shot backs, they were very clean images. And we were a bit surprised. We bought a digital camera that thinking it would just be for catalog and we'd still continue shooting film for some of the packaging work, but soon transitioned into the digital as well, because the information was so clean. And obviously we're now shooting 150 megapixel images with the phase one back now. I mean, I haven't got a 150 megapixel back, but the transition and obviously the dynamic range of the backs is huge as well compared to transparency. So it's been amazing, sort of being part of that journey. We were actually one of the early adopters for digital as well, the studio. So we did a lot of work with Marks and Spencer's developing their digital workflow. So we learned a lot from them as well. So that was interesting.
Amazing. And then, so moving on to now, what are you working on now? Does your client base look like?
So still some food photography, and also quite a lot in the education sector. So I've got a medical school as a client, a university, colleges, and then I've got a couple of human rights charities that I work for too. So they're the ones that take me gallivanting across the world. So hopefully going to Peru next month, actually, with one of them. So that's working with things like climate justice, with street pavement dwelling communities in India, and then also I've been out to the West Bank and Gaza as well. So yeah,
amazing experiences. And we've had quite a lot of chat on the show, Marcus, haven't we, about kind of charities. And do we kind of work for free? Do you work full price? Do you work kind of maybe at a reduced rate? Kind of what's your thoughts and approach there?
Yeah, it's a complicated issue, and I've heard you guys chatting about it. And I tend to have a bit of a sliding scale. So I have done some work for free, and obviously I have a full corporate rate as well. And I try and look at purpose beyond price. So so I'm looking at what something is worth beyond just the financial. So it could be portfolio. It could be that I believe in the project. I believe in the cause behind the charity. Or it could be that I'm helping somebody start their own work as well. So so I have a scale dependent on what that value is beyond just the financial.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So you kind of like, well, if this is going to be amazing for my portfolio, I'll charge less. Or if this really, I'm not that interested in the cause, it's not something I think is going to help me, then, they just pay the full rate.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an exact science.
Yeah, of course.
But you recognise that some of the charity work that they just don't have the budget that a corporate would have. But I don't want to compromise the quality and the message that they're putting out. So I'd still want to give them my full attention, if you like.
That makes sense.
I mean, looking through your website, Mark, I noticed that and from what you're telling us, you're doing a fantastic range of photography, documentary, food photography, people, commercial. And, as I've sort of worked in a similar length of span of career as you have, we didn't really think about niching down. You've obviously not really chosen to niche down as such, as far as I can tell. Do you think that's because, did you think you're missing out there, or are you quite happy with the way it is, Mark?
Well, I don't know how you've experienced, because I think you're based in Bristol. Is that right, Marcus?
Yeah, I am, yes.
So I've found, my foundation working in a big commercial studio was very broad. I mean, I shot weddings and portraits, but I haven't done that for a long time. So it is commercial work now. And I've tried to sort of hone down a little bit. But what I've found is working in the north of England is that you can't be too niche, because there just isn't the volume of work. So you have to have a broader base. I think if you're in London, for example, I think you can be really quite tight on the sort of work that you do. So I think partly it's a survival thing, just to have a broader base. But I also find that there's a certain cross-pollination of working across broader spectrum. So I learn certain skill sets from working in one genre that I can then apply to another. So it's I think, I wouldn't have learned certain techniques had I not had that broader base, I think, and you can apply them across. And I found that quite valuable.
Good answer. Yeah, interesting.
Excellent. And then do you have some clients that kind of particularly do well in terms of, commercial clients that get you quite a lot of money for the business compared to other clients?
Yeah. So yeah, like I say, the corporate end of the market, you're charging a higher rate, and I mean it depends on the day rate that we talk about nowadays. I mean, it's not an exact science, but some of it's based on experience. Some of it's what the market will stand, and also the amount of equipment that you have to invest in.
Yeah.
So I've got quite a heavy investment in equipment for a single photographer working on his own, because sometimes I've had to use maybe 10 heads and a large format camera on a set, for example. And there's quite a high level of investment to do that. So you charge accordingly. The other slight problem with working in Hull, so I'm in East Yorkshire, is that the rental houses are not on your doorstep. So if you're working in Manchester, London, a lot of photographers now, they don't own a lot of kit. They rent it out onto the job as and when they need it.
Yeah.
Whereas I find it's a lot more convenient to actually own the kit, because it's just more faff, basically, renting in when you haven't got the rental houses on your doorstep.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay. And then what about
cool? And
sorry,
Sam, carry on, please.
I was just going to say, and then what about personal work? With all you're doing lots of this commercial stuff, does then that lead to some personal projects, and are they kind of related to your commercial work or quite different?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite personal projects was actually, I don't know if you've seen on my website, I did a lot of sort of dance and performing arts photography a few years ago. This all started because my daughter was dancing at a dance school.
Okay.
And I had a conversation with them, and they said, "Oh, well, can we do some dance photography?" So I did that for free.
Yeah.
And then got chatting with a prospective client who was a graphic designer, who it turned out trained there in the same venue when it used to be an art college. And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, if you do the photography, I'll design the book." And so we did this joint project together, which we weren't being paid for. But it developed into having a client, the design client, and an amazing portfolio piece that I could then present to people.
Yeah.
And it was a great discussion starter when you're presenting your work to prospective clients. So creatively, it was really exciting, but also it helped develop openings with new clients as well.
Okay, that's interesting story, isn't it, Marcus? When we had Joe Giacomet on a while ago, and he did some football cards which got very famous, and they were kind of novelty football cards with people with crazy hair, weren't they? Very 70s styling, and it was a personal project, but got him known and got him lots of work, but it was just kind of a fun thing to do in lockdown when he was doing it. Yeah,
personal work's so important to do. We've obviously been banging on about that on this program for quite a lot. I see you've got a quote from Joseph Karsh of our nice website, one of my favorite photographers. You got any who do you inspiration from there, Mark?
Well, Joseph Karsh has been there from day one. I mean, I was inspired by my uncle. Got me into photography when I was 13, and he was a big Karsh fan. And yeah, I think is it the heart and mind are the true lens of the camera? Is that the quote?
That's right. Yes.
Thinking? Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And then I mean, other photographers that I've enjoyed over the years, I suppose. I mean, always the sort of classics, like Cartier-Bresson, people like that. But more recently, Sebastian Salgado.
Of course, I thought you might mention him somehow.
He's just stunning, absolutely stunning. But it's beyond the photography for me with him. He's just as a humanitarian and an inspiring character. I've heard various podcasts that he's been interviewed. Absolutely incredible. And then a young, because I can say this because he's younger than me, but a young whippersnapper is a guy called Joey Lawrence, who he's a portrait photographer he's Canadian actually, but he's based in New York, I think. And his work is stunning. And he he embeds himself with the PKK in Kurdistan and goes out and photographs holy men in Varanasi in India, but then does Labat's corporate calendar or something, along those lines. And it's just brilliant. But he works a lot on. He actually shoots medium format on a phase 1 camera, takes sort of pro photo heads with him, and shoots portraits in the field using sort of medium format kit as well. And I just love the classic simplicity of his work. It's really beautifully lit, and really, really crafted, I think, which I really enjoy.
Well, we'll put some notes to all those people in the links down below and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, that's a good list you've got there. I like that. That's very good. You mentioned, obviously, you switched. When did you switch to digital?
It was a transition, but 1999 was when we bought our first.
Oh, you're quite an early adopter then.
Yeah. We were one of the first 3 or 4 to buy the Sinar digital back in this country, I think.
Sinar, yes. I went over to Sinar factory over in Switzerland to go and see that digital back, and they did a demonstration. Yeah, it was quite a nice bit of kit. Quite blown away at the time.
Yeah. I mean, it was a scary investment. It was quite a lot of money at the time, and
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but it obviously integrated with our Sinar film cameras. So that was 99. But what we did was we ran the two in parallel. We shot digital and we shot film along, and we basically gave the client the choice and said, look, these are the pluses and minuses. These are the cost implications. It's your choice at the end of the day. And it didn't take long to sort of transition really over from film to digital more rapidly than we were expecting. It was a very exciting time, actually. We were developing digital workflows with Marks and Spencer at the time. And so we were getting a lot of feedback from them about what was required from a digital image. And so it was a steep learning curve, but yeah, it was good fun.
So you've got obviously a huge amount of experience. I mean, we've got some listeners who have lots of experience, but some who are starting out too. If somebody's kind of starting out, what kind of words of advice do you think you've got for them to help them on their journey as a professional photographer?
Yes, it's a good question, isn't it? Because it's a very different world now. I am actually doing a spot of mentoring with some youngsters at the moment. And we're looking at the sort of your progression, your pathway. Because I'm finding so a lot of youngsters are coming out of photography degree courses, and they've learned to be creative, but they haven't necessarily learned a lot of the sort of business skills and the marketing skills. And so we're having. I mean, I'm trying to be quite niche with looking at what people need, but I think some of the advice is going back to what Marcus was saying earlier. Personal work. You've got to do personal work.
Okay.
You've got to scratch where it itches. You've got to sort of. I think that's where you learn fastest. I was doing some work a couple of days ago with one of my mentees, and just sitting back and letting him make the mistakes, because we didn't have a client with us.
Yeah.
But just realizing that what I think is obvious, because I've done it for so long, isn't obvious. But you learn by doing. You really do learn by doing. You've just got to get out there and shoot, and learn by your mistakes. It's the fastest way to learn, I think.
Sort of in the Mark. I've totally always agreed with that. You know, when I was lecturing, it's all about making mistakes and also letting people make mistakes. And it's quite difficult, isn't it? Looking over somebody and saying, "Oh, you could have done that." Then you think, "Well, hold on a second. This could take them into a new direction."
Yeah, and it's about asking open questions to people, not dictating this is how you should do something, but asking questions that make people think. I'm really into sort of not telling people how to think, but helping people make their own mind up, basically. So you're asking key questions, and because my way isn't the right way, is the way I learn. Sometimes you can become quite closed in the way that you work. Actually, hanging around with a few youngsters who maybe challenge you back is actually quite refreshing as well. I've quite enjoyed that. Yeah. And they introduced me. I mean, for example, Joey Lawrence, the photographer I mentioned earlier, he was somebody that was introduced to me by a young guy I was working with. Blew my mind when I saw his work, but that was a youngster that sort of introduced that photographer to me. So you've got to listen to people as well. You can't be closed. I quite like that relationship of sharing ideas and growing together.
Okay. So mentorship, you think, somebody starting out is a good way to go? Find a mentor, find somebody who can help you, give you advice.
Absolutely, yeah, because they've experienced a lot of the different facets of photography. Because photography there's so much more to photography. It's a way of life, isn't it? It's not just a vocation, but not just a job. We learn so much in photography beyond just taking an image. We learn interpersonal skills, negotiating with clients, working with clients. I think my favorite type of work is where the sum of the component parts is greater when two people come together to create a project, and you created something that neither of you could have created on their own. I think that's really exciting when you created something together. Yeah, I think I think over the years I found photography it's a privilege really to be part of this industry. I think that's something I'd really like to impart to youngsters today. It is a privilege. I always feel like it when you're photographing a footwear catalog that takes you. I mean, some of the shoots I've done over the years, toilet catalogs. I've even done that.
Oh, wow.
You don't think it's very exciting when you're doing that, but
puns we could say about that. There's a film coming out. Well, it would have been out by the time this comes out about Lee Miller. I'm sure I've seen it. I've been to see it already. Do you think? Yeah. Now, this is I'm going to use air quotes on this, but do you think it's still cool to be a photographer, though, Mark?
Well, I'm not sure I can describe myself as cool. So I think you fashion guys, you're all cool. I'm not sure I fall into that cool category.
No, I disagree.
But yes, I think it can be.
I think it used to be seen as cool, documentary photography, what you're doing, reportage, war photography, fashion maybe. These days, I think it's very open, isn't it? It's very open. I think still people think of it, it's a great thing to do, obviously, why so many people won't do it. But I don't think it's as cool as it used to be. I'm going to say that, and I'm going to get criticised for saying
that. Is it that, Marcus, or do you just think you're not as cool as you used to be?
Yeah, that. Mark, what's the future hold for you? What's coming up next?
Well, short term, I'm off to Peru next month to do some work with a charity, EduKid. I'm actually a trustee of EduKid as well. But the sort of, I think you call it the third act. I'm sort of entering the final stage of my career, and that's something that I am conscious of. That I try and keep fit, but it is a young man's game sometimes, photography, and I'm conscious that I'm getting older, and lugging all that equipment around is.
You look great, by the way, Mark. I was just going to say you look great, but I was going to interject with that.
So with that in mind, I'm hoping that my mind will still be active, even if I don't want to start lifting stuff. So the mentoring is something that I want to develop. I'm starting to really develop a program of creating visual storytellers. That's what I really want to do for the next few years. And so mentoring could be practical. It could be just talking about lighting composition. It could be about really challenging young photographers to look at their story and developing a story and an idea, because I just think photography is such a powerful medium to tell a story. And so that's really what I want to spend the latter years of my career doing, really.
Mark Kensett is truly a master of creating a commercial photography career. We learned so much about the foundation of a long and successful run in this business. The first big takeaway for me was his emphasis on mentorship for photographers. He stressed that whether you are giving or receiving it, sharing ideas and asking the right questions is the fastest way to grow and keep your perspective fresh. Secondly, Mark highlighted the true power of personal work, not just as a creative outlet, but as the single most effective form of brand photography marketing. It's the work you do for yourself that attracts the clients you want. And finally, he touched on the privilege of this job. That feeling when you and a client create something neither of you could have created on their own. That pursuit of collaborative excellence is ultimately what makes the whole thing worth it.
And don't forget that you can get for free the Commercial Photographer Guide to Creativity and Marketing. After all, that's what this show is all about. To get your free download, all you need to do is go to our website at commercial-photographer-podcast.com/creativity. Let me do that one again. commercial-photographer-podcast.com/creativity. And from there, you can get your free guide from us to marketing and creativity. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for taking the time to come and talk to us. It's been a really, really interesting show.
You're welcome, guys.
Loads of amazing things for our listeners there. So thank you, Mark. And Marcus, I will see you next week.
Thank you, Marcus, from me as well. And yeah, see you next week, Sam.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you want to make sure you never miss a show, head to the website commercial-photographer-podcast.com and sign up to the newsletter. We'll be back next week with more practical advice to help you grow your business. See you next time.